On this episode of the Red and Gold Report, we're going to be breaking down the Chiefs' recent trouncing of the Las Vegas Raiders, and we're going to be catching up on all our recent Chiefs news. So, what was the storyline of Sunday's game against the Raiders? Well, I imagine that on the flight back into Vegas, the Raiders were telling themselves what most people flying out of Vegas tell themselves. Mistakes were made. Like eating a $9 Vegas buffet, mistakes were made. Like agreeing to go to a Celine Dion show on the Vegas Strip, mistakes were made. And oh, Vegas made so many Raidery mistakes on Sunday. Now, the first one really got things rolling for the Raiders when they decided to hold their pre-game huddle on top of the Chiefs logo at midfield before the game. I know they come from Sin City, but that's a pretty big, obvious football sin, and their punishment for the Vegas sin came out swiftly when they fumbled the ball for a Chiefs defensive touchdown on the first play of the game. Mistakes were made, and they didn't stop there. The Raiders gave away 4 fumbles and 1 interception in the game. They had more penalties and more penalty yards than the Chiefs. They had a muffed kick, dropped passes, and more. So, after 4 straight touchdowns at one point, the Chiefs found themselves up 35-3 at halftime, the largest halftime lead for the Chiefs since 2004. And you know what? Didn't get any better for the Raiders after halftime, but it wasn't just about the Raiders making mistakes. It was just as much about the Chiefs playing an efficient, patient, smart, clean game on offense and a dominating game on defense. On offense, the Chiefs played smart. They had 0 interceptions, 0 lost fumbles, and only 4 incomplete passes. On defense, the Chiefs D scored a touchdown for the second week in a row. They held Pro Bowl running back Josh Jacobs to an average of only 2.7 yards on the ground, and they allowed under 300 yards of offense and only 9 points. So it wasn't exactly a surprise when the game ended with an NFL history first. No one has ever ended a game 48-9. And you know what? As a Chiefs fan, I love reading comments like this one online after games like this. As a Raiders fan, this is the most embarrassing day of my life. Isn't there just something that warms your heart about comments like that? So Raiders, maybe it's a mistake to stomp on the Chiefs logo before the game. And hey, if you don't get that, maybe it's a mistake to kick the bully in the playground yard in the shin. Maybe it's a mistake to throw some gasoline on a fire. Yeah, real shocks. But hey, everybody makes mistakes in Vegas. So with that storyline in mind, who played well for the Chiefs in the game? Well, Thanksgiving came late for the Chiefs defensive line because they were absolutely feasting on the leftovers that make up the Raiders offensive line. Chris Jones had half a sack and 10 pressures. Frank Clark also decided to play well, ending with half a sack and 7 pressures. Alex Okafor even had a sack. Deshaun Wharton had a sack and 3 pressures from inside. He played very well. And Melvin Ingram ended with half a sack and 4 pressures. The trade for him has totally reworked this defensive line and where everybody is able to play, right? He was great. Corner Mike Hughes had what is likely the biggest game of his career on Sunday. Hughes forced 2 fumbles. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown on the first play of the game. He had a great coverage play on a deep pass in the first quarter down the field. He surrendered only 46 yards in the air while filling in for starter L'Jarius Sneed, and he led the defense with 9 tackles from the corner spot. I mean, that was an excellent game for Hughes. Running back Derek Gore had a good game with 9 carries for 66 yards, all 66 yards. 4 Gore came after contact. He also added 23 yards through the air. Tyreek Hill had a bounce back game, catching all 4 of his targets. Actually, that kind of goes for all the Chiefs receivers. After some weeks with an acute case of the dropsies, the Kansas City receiving corps did not drop a pass during the game. And that included a short catch for Josh Gordon that was his first touchdown with the Chiefs. Guard Joe Tooney didn't allow a single pressure the whole game against a good defensive line, and center Creed Humphrey was out there moving defenders at will like he does. And we got to give props to Patrick Mahomes for playing a smart game. This is the sort of game we've wanted to see him play. With the Raiders playing deep coverage like a lot of teams have played against us, Mahomes wisely took exactly what they were giving him instead of forcing things. He turned in a nearly perfectly efficient outing. He threw the ball 24 times with only 4 incompletions and no interceptions. He was accurate. He avoided unnecessary untraditional throws. He stayed smart with the ball, even though he was under plenty of pressure during the game. He also tucked the ball and took it on safe runs, often coming up with first downs when the coverage was too tight. It was a smart, efficient game for Mahomes, exactly what we're looking to see out of him with how defenses are playing him this season. But who struggled in the game for the Chiefs? Well, not too many players, to be honest, right? That was a trouncing, but let's mention just a few. The Chiefs' offensive tackles actually struggled on Sunday, and that was why Mahomes was pressured so often. Left tackle Orlando Brown allowed 3 pressures, while right tackle Andrew Wiley gave up 4 pressures, including 2 sacks. He is struggling with his anchor against power rush moves. Also, running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire should be mentioned. I know he had 2 touchdowns. Both of them look good, but he only averaged 3.7 yards per carry, and he was outplayed by his 2 backups. Also, linebackers Ben Neiman and Anthony Hitchens struggled, but hey, it didn't seem to matter at all. And let's talk about Tyrann Mathieu. Look, Tyrann had a great game on the field. He really did. But call me old school, I kind of don't like the attitude. He had a taunting penalty. He stopped playing during a play towards the end of the second quarter, and he continues to project some negative body language too often for what an old school football fan like me likes. He kind of looks like the emotional equivalent of my toddler out there. But that's all the negatives we need to say, because you know what? This was a great day for our Chiefs. So let's move on to all our recent Chiefs news. The big news, obviously, is that the Chiefs are on a 6-game winning streak. They're leading the division, and the defense has now proved that it wasn't just going against injured offenses that was leading to their success. This appears to be a legitimate defensive turnaround. In other news, right tackle Lucas Niang returned from injury, though it looks like in an attempt to bring him back slowly, the team did not start him on Sunday. However, if he can come back in and shore up that right tackle spot, we're looking at one of the best offensive lines in the entire league. So I'm hoping to see him out there versus the Chargers this week. In tragic news, corner L'Jarius Sneed missed the game Sunday after his brother was killed in Louisiana. L'Jarius credited his brother with largely raising him, and our prayers definitely go out to L'Jarius and his family. In other news, the Chiefs are going to face the Chargers this Thursday night. If you wait till Sunday to watch the game, too late. It's going to be this Thursday night. With just 4 games left in the season, and with the Chargers trailing the Chiefs in the division standings by only 1 victory, this is a hugely important game on Thursday night. That's it for the Red and Gold Report. Make sure to take a second to hit all those like and subscribe, all those buttons and those good things on this channel page thing. Thanks for watching, and go Chiefs!